The Department of Conservation is fighting a losing battle repairing tracks eroded by the sea in parts of the Abel Tasman National Park, one of the country's most visited spots, of course. This year, the sea clawed away the northern edges of the world-famous coastal track, closing it to hikers. And now DOC says it's going to have to permanently move parts of the track inland in order to keep it open. Our Nelson reporter, Tracy Neal, has this story.
More than 250,000 people are expected to flock to the Abel Tasman National Park this year alone to enjoy the golden beaches and coastal native bush. The head of the region's Economic Development Agency, Mark Rawson, says it's become Nelson Tasman's main tourist magnet.
The number one reason why people come to the Nelson Tasman region, particularly for international visitors, is Abel Tasman, by a considerable margin.
What sets the park apart is the 60-kilometre walking track that hugs the coastline from Maraho in the south to Wainui Bay in the north. And that's also what makes it vulnerable. A DOC manager, Andrew Lamison, says geotech reports link the slips to the storm surge generated by Cyclone Fahi 5 weeks ago. He says a rethink is now needed on how to maintain tracks that are at the mercy of the sea.
There is no limitless bag of money, so we've got to think, how are we going to sustain this track? Where do we have to be prudent to move away from the coast? What areas do we have to say, listen, we actually can't access that anymore?
The storm surge also came too close for comfort to properties in Torrent Bay, an enclave of privately owned batches and homes midway into the park. Tim Mackay's family has owned a place there for close to a century. He says some are now talking about raising buildings closest to the beach.
A lot of places got a lot of sand through and water. I think it's going to be an ongoing and increasingly serious problem for the bay, yes.
DOC's Andrew Lamison says it will likely mean part of the track near the northern head of the park will be moved inland.
We did something similar at Awaroa. We recognised that we were losing land in the front there, so we shifted that up onto the hill. The outcome is it's probably some of the best views in the Abel Tasman now, so we're hoping that we can achieve something similar to Anapai.
Wally Bruce has been running guided tours on the track for 7 years. He says DOC's plan for the north of the track is disappointing because tourists expect to be able to reach the top end of it. Mr Bruce says he pays hefty concession fees to operate in the park and thought they were meant to help cover repair costs.
I respect what DOC is planning on doing, but I think there's a short-term goal, and that would be a temporary track around the slipped areas, and that DOC could put you there at your own risk.
Andrew Lamison says it's not that simple.
And it looks to the untrained eye as like, oh, you can put a little track through there, you'll be fine. On one of the slips, yes, but on the second one, we have what's called a gantry walkway or bridge that's on very unstable ground, so much so that we've tied that bridge to a tree, and we're hoping to get a heavy lift helicopter in, take that apart and take it out completely.
DOC spends about $800,000 a year on tracks, huts, campsites and maintenance in the Abel Tasman National Park. In Nelson for Checkpoint, Tracy Neal.